Was that another Trevor Perry that was arrested?
Found no proof I had anything to do with that.
You've been lighting fire since you're 18, Trevor. You have a charge sheet for arson as long as my arm.
But was I charged for the death of Boss?
No, you were not.
Well, there you have it.
Very good at covering your tracks, though.
I see you still are. I think we like the area.
Using your son.
I am not using it.
Throwing him under the bus.
I would never.
That is
I love
good
him.
for you.
It's what you've done that you are proud of the interests.
I would never betray Billy like that. All I did was raise him to love his country, to fight for it if he has to.
Against all non-whites.
I'm never gonna let go of that. Okay, certain nonsense. It makes you think.
Did you raise your son to light up mosques like you, Trevor?
I'm not gonna answer that.
Or are you the true arsonist in your family?
The one and only
You
arsonist.
must really hate Muslims to want to light them up where they pray. To see them burn, human beings.
Yeah, I hate them. Or at least I did. Not anymore.
And then you met Aisha.
Everything changed.
Yes. Who would have thought?
Or what?
Me, fall in love with a colour.
Try not to make a girl feel too good, did they, Trevor?
It was just an expression. What do you want?
Do you not call me boy for a start?
Nothing expression, I'm sorry.
Perhaps we should stick to the matter in hand, eh, Trevor?
You might want to tell him that.
Who might that be, Trevor? Your boy.
Your son has confessed to starting that fire.
He didn't do it.
How do you know that?
I know my boy.
You also know about starting fires, and that is how you raised him. To hit people of colour.
Following in the footsteps of his beloved dad.
You would see it like that.
Tell us how we should see him.
Tell us
I brought him up to fight for our rights.
What rights?
who's right.
British rights, not white. British. This is our country.
Then you met Aisha.
Yes.
Everything changed.
Yes.
I can see how that would have upset Billy.
It would have upset me.
Everything he believed in.
Everything you told him. He learned from it.
Is nothing but a lie.
He didn't talk to the boss.
Could you not see that you fallen in love with an Asian woman?
She's British as well.
See how angry that would have made Billy was your son. But you know it.
I tried talking to him. I tried. You think I don't know that?
I'm curious, when did you try to talk to
What do you mean? Loads of times. I can't remember.
If you've only been seeing Aisha for a month, you must remember the last time, for instance.
Right. I know what you're going to say.
We'll be the judge of that.
Last time was what? Shortly after the march.
The night the mosque was fired,
He did not do it.
You have plenty of reason to.
as well as motive.
No, he didn't. I was getting through to him. I know I was. That he was lied to, the same as me. The colours are not our enemies.
Does Aisha know you speak like that?
It's the way I am.
It's the way you are.
50 years of it, I can't just turn it off overnight.
She's understanding.
As well as patient.
She is. She's both of those things and more. She's smart as well. She reads books, any book. She was telling me all about the British ruling her country for over 100 years. 100 years.
From India, is she? Aisha.
Her parents, she was born in Plumstead, I say, as British as you and me.
Okay, I didn't ask for a history lesson.
You did not know about that, but India was a British colony.
I know that, of course I know that.
It's all right to say you don't.
I said I know, I'm not stupid.
Well, I hope this Aisha is aware of your defensive attitude.
Don't worry, she had me sussed the day she met me.
How did you two meet?
Yeah, we can't exactly see you pop into your local Hindu temple. And Aisha would stick out at one of your party meetings, wouldn't she?
She brought her car into my garage for an MOT.
I see.
What do you see?
Well, you're happy to work for the likes of us. You just don't like us.
I don't work for the likes of you. She had a car that needed looking at. We don't all have signs on our heads saying I am a racist, you know.
Well, at least you're admitting you are one.
Tell us about Aisha Trevor.
Yeah, how did she wind up falling for you?
Makes you sick, doesn't it? Someone like her can fall for someone like me. What is wrong with me? I'm in pretty good health for a 50-year-old. I haven't lit up a cigarette for 18 years, and I haven't so much as touched a drop of alcohol for the last 6. I'm easy on the eye, always have been. I've never had a problem attracting women.
Or don't you just love yourself?
I am not loving myself, I am just trying to move away from the obvious.
Obvious is that, Trevor?
That you are the co-leader of a far-right racist party.
How many more times do I have to say it? We bloody Nazis are far right. My dad fought in the war against those lot. You think he'd raise a son who loved the Nazis? He'd be turning in his grave.
Maybe he is already.
Waste of time talking to you. You will never understand us.
So tell me, Trevor, if I wanted to join your sad little group, would I be allowed? Would I be welcome?
Why don't you come to our next meeting and find out?
That is not answering my question, Trevor. Yes or no?
You are a police officer, so that would have to be a no.
Do you all have something to hide then, Trevor? Please tell us about Aisha.
She's beautiful, of course. Sweet, she's kind. She's got a smile that makes my knees weak and I'm all over the place.
Nice.
I know, I sound like a kid with a story. I don't know how it happened. Actually, I do. Her car was up the spout, he needed to fix her. She was trying to scam her.
Please?
No. Not first.
First,
It's quite a hole you're digging for yourself, Trevor.
What I mean is, I kept making excuses for her to come back. Her car needed this and to have that. We ended up talking.
I heard you.
It just happens, doesn't it?
Yes, yes, it does. Things,
What things?
History. Mostly about Britain. It's colonial history. Lots of rumors. No wonder they beat us.
They? Who's they, Trevor? People of colour, perhaps?
Do you want me to say sorry? All right. On behalf of the British Empire, I am sorry.
What's going on here, Trevor? Why are you telling us this? What? What should we understand?
Just because you're doing something, believing in something for a long time, does not mean you have to keep doing it.
Is that Aisha, Trevor?
You've seen an old clip of me online, YouTube of it.
What are you doing?
Doing it to us.
You know what men are doing.
Tell us, spouting your offensive racist agenda.
How can I keep on saying this when I'm not racist?
Let's fall in love with a nation from the skin.
Yes, because of what people would say.
Say,
What people, Trevor? White people,
racist people will say.
He didn't do it, he didn't talk that much.
did.
Me, I did it. Me, it was me.
You say it, Trevor.
My son, he doesn't know he's asked for his help, does he? That's why I didn't do this.
Yes, Trevor, we met your son.
Does not like you very much.
Please, it was me you want, not him.
Not that way, please.
So every cut on tape, written, it was me.
Would Aisha have the same about that?
It's not my fault. Billy didn't do anything, I did it. And I talked to different officers 6 years ago, so you're trying to blame to go on. Go on. You did for what? You wanted me, you got me.
Alright, Trevor, sit down.
You don't tell me what to do.
Sit down.
Just let him go.
Don't let me tell you again.
Do it, you did for what?
Sit down, Trevor.
Do it now!
Lights for whites, lights for whites, lights for whites, lights for whites. You want me or not? You want to hear his name? It's a bigger, always a bigger. It's what Aisha thinks. It's what she feels and she's right. Lights for whites. I lose you.
Good, I'm trying. Help us out with it. Hold it down. Get him out of there.
Rise for whites! Rise for whites!
What's up, nigga?
Come on, Sean. You know he didn't do
You
it.
know as well as I do what's capable.
Hey, what this? Billy didn't do it. No. There's no one believed
You
it.
telling me you believe that guff thing's changed? That he's fallen in love with an Asian?
Sounds far-fetched.
There you go, that's what I'm reading.
I mean, it sounds too far-fetched for him to make up. Someone like him would fall in love.
Yeah, that's right.
He's as human as the rest of
No,
us.
that's not him. Not people like him.
Then what are they? People like him. We blame him.
Vicious racist scumbags, Max. We like nothing better than to burn down mosques and beat up defenseless old men. Do you want to see those pictures? Chris Manabasi and what's left of his face again? Or how about the ones of the victims from the mosque with their third-degree burns?
Like, sure. Please.
Sometimes you worry me, Max.
Do I have to remind you that I am your boss?
Who defended him? Well, you were doing a pretty good impression of someone who is.
Will you listen to what I'm saying to you?
There's nothing to listen to. He's trying to Max, I don't care. I was trying to bury like his son. I don't care how badly Billy hated his dad. But both of them are as sick as him. bus and they're going,
And the contract.
punch on me tonight.
I don't like them any more than usual. But Trevor Perry didn't dodge that
Oh,
boss.
you deaf? We just heard him confess, Max. Did you cross what?
Dead forget, but not the last one. He didn't do it, sure. But he did. What Trevor did was fall in love.
You got a taste of the jungle fever. That was all.
His love, sure, I saw it in his eyes. So did you. I can chuck this.
What is it, Max?
Was that true? Was I that
Yeah, Max. That is exactly why. Trevor Perry was stupid enough to take a rap from his boy. That's his lookout.
In the interrogation of Roy Williams, Banks was played by Kenneth Branagh, and Shaw was played by Alex Vanderbeek. Billy was played by Daniel Kendrick, and Trevor by David Houser. The director was Mary Pelt.
The final interrogation is at the same time, 2:15 next Wednesday. In a few minutes, the Law Show this afternoon is investigating what's legal when it comes to sewage-polluted waters. That's all after a word from John Wilson.
The Crying Game was nominated for 6 Academy Awards in 1993 and won the Oscar for Best Screenplay. But its writer and director Neil Jordan remembers how the film nearly didn't get made.
There was resistance to everything. There was resistance to the fact that you made a film about the island. There was resistance to me having a accident. There was huge resistance to the fact that being down with the transport get resistance to the
From the studio,
But the studio being
Neil Jordan has been guest on This Culture Live tomorrow morning at 11, Radio 4 and Resistance.
BBC News at 3 o'clock. The Conservatives are standing by their figures after claiming that Labour's spending plans would cost every working household an extra £2,000. Labour said that was a desperate lie and it had no plans to raise income tax, national insurance or VAT. Rory Thompson is a former permanent secretary to the Treasury. He says the Tories are using a well-rehearsed tactic, presenting the figures as coming from the civil service.
I can assure you the Treasury would never have added them up, would never have made a household figure. So those are definitely not signed up by the Treasury. It's not what you do. So, yeah, we have this process which is an attempt by politicians, and it's been done by politicians of both parties in the past, to buy credibility from the civil service.
The First Minister of Wales, Vaughan Gething, is expected to lose a vote of no confidence this afternoon. He's been under pressure because of donations to his campaign for the leadership of Welsh Labour. The probable absence of 2 key Labour members at the Senedd due to illness could mean the numbers go against him. Israel has launched a new military campaign in central Gaza as international mediators prepare for talks in Doha aimed at advancing a ceasefire and hostage deal. There are reports of intense bombardments in Deir al-Balah, where Israel says it's hitting Hamas targets. Amanda Knox was convicted and then cleared of killing her British flatmate in Perugia in 2007. She's been found guilty of slander by a court in Italy. She had wrongly implicated a barman and Patrick Lumumba in the murder of Meredith Koshy. She was jailed for 3 years but won't go to prison because of time served after being wrongly found guilty of murder. Veterans have been joined by the King and Queen in Portsmouth at the start of 2 days of events to mark the 80th anniversary of the D-Day Normandy landings. The King paid tribute to the courage, resilience and solidarity of the soldiers who took part. BBC News.
There's an incredibly lifelike ability for some of the latest chatbots to interact with their users. But is there a problem if we continue to use language like think, believe or befriend about an AI? They can't actually do any of those things. The Artificial Human is here on Radio 4 in half an hour. Before that, Dr. Joelle Grogan and her team are here with the Law Show to help explain and demystify the law making the headlines.
complicated and expensive. We will guide you through the law. And we're looking at the final law to be passed before the general election, the Leasehold and Freehold Reform Act 2024. This week, I'm joined by Dr. Charlotte Proudman, a barrister, academic and campaigner against gender inequality, and Tracy Maloney, a barrister turned family law solicitor who's also known as the Legal Queen on social media. Hello!
Hello.
Joelle. First this week, if there was ever something to get people scratching their heads and asking, is that really legal? It's the whole topic of clean water in our waterways and out of our taps.
Southwest Water says traces of cryptosporidium are still present in part of its network. A notice telling people to boil their water will remain in place until there have been 3 days of clear results.
Obviously not drinking it. The water companies are useless.
You can catch it from person to person. Completely unacceptable. That's what Downing Street had to say today in response to a BBC investigation which found millions of litres of sewage have been pumped illegally into Windermere. United Utilities failed to stop the pollution for 10 hours and didn't tell the Environment Agency for 13 hours after it started. This all happened back in February. Now today, the government said there would be a full investigation, and if regulations have been breached, there could be a criminal prosecution.
We've had a few guys go down pretty badly with the E. coli strain, so, I mean, this morning I was throwing up. Yeah, it would have been ideal not to have... That's not to take away from Cambridge. They were a talented crew. I don't know if we would have had a chance to get them even if we'd all been on form, so it's no way to make excuses.
3 recent stories about unclean water in England. The first was the cryptosporidium outbreak in Devon, where 100 people became ill as a result. Southwest Water says it was caused by a damaged valve on private land. Then there were the millions of litres of raw sewage which were pumped into Lake Windermere. United Utilities says it took urgent steps to resolve the incident in February. And we also heard from Oxford University rower Leonard Jenkins after the boat race in March, which they lost to Cambridge. In the week before the race, crews had been warned not to enter the Thames after high levels of the bacteria E. coli were found. Thames Water says improving river health is a key focus for the company. Let's speak with Angus Evers, partner at the law firm Shoesmiths, who specialises in environmental law. First, I understand it's quite complicated who's really responsible for clean water.
That's right. So environmental and policy are devolved across the UK. So we have different laws and different regulators across England, Scotland, Wales and Northern Ireland.
Is there a difference between who's responsible for the water coming out of the taps and the water in our rivers and lakes and our seas?
Yes, there is. In England and Wales, water that comes out of our taps is regulated by a body called the Drinking Water Inspectorate. The take of that water from groundwater or rivers and streams to water supply is regulated by the Environment Agency in England and the equivalent regulators in Wales, Scotland and Northern Ireland. The treatment of sewage and the discharge of treated or untreated sewage into waterways and the sea is subject to different regulatory regime. So again, in England, the Environment Agency regulates that by granting permits to companies to discharge treated sewage for the operation of their sewage treatment works. But the prices that they can charge customers through their water bills is regulated by a different body in England and Wales called Ofwat, and that's the Services Regulation Authority. So what you have is a multitude of different regulators responsible for different things.
But let's get down to one of the key focus here, which is when is it legal and when is it illegal to dump raw sewage into waterways?
The issue here largely relates to things called combined sewer flows, or CSOs for short, and these take both surface water, which is essentially clean rainwater, water that runs off the roof, gutters into the drains, and foul sewage is what comes out of your bathroom or your kitchen and goes down the drains. And combined sewer overflows combine those two flows into a single sewer. When you get heavy rainfall, there's a risk of outflow into properties, which is unpleasant. Combined sewer overflows are essentially escape valves from these combined surface and foul water flows. And in the event of exceptional rainfall, those companies, under the terms of the permits they have from their regulators, are allowed to discharge untreated sewage into waterways.
usage of combined sewer overflows are increasing.
Who's responsible for ensuring that these water companies do what they're supposed to do and not dump in non-exceptional circumstances?
That is largely the responsibility of the relevant environmental regulator within each part of the UK. So in England, it's the Environment Agency, in Wales, Natural Resources Wales, in Scotland, the Scottish Environmental Protection Agency, and in Ireland, the Northern Ireland Environment Agency.
Nevertheless, there's still issues. So in regards the Guardian's question, who ensures that DEFRA, Ofwat, the Environment Agency, anyone else in the UK does what they're supposed to do regularly?
Well, in England, there's a relatively new body that was set up under the Environment Act 2021 called the Office for Environmental Protection, and that has responsibility for making sure that governments and public bodies like the Environment Agency comply with their responsibilities under environmental law. And it's actually carrying out an investigation at the moment into DEFRA, the Department for Environment, Food and Rural Affairs, Ofwat, and the Environment Agency, and it's investigating whether they could possibly fail to comply with their responsibilities under environmental law in relation to the regulation of combined sewer overflows. And it believes that all three of them may have misinterpreted the law.
Charlotte, many people argue that this is because water has been privatised in England. Is that an accurate assessment?
Well, looking at the figures available, I think it's not. The sewage dumping is a serious issue inside and outside of England. We've heard that England has tremendous rates of sewage dumping with 3.6 million hours of spills in 2023 to 2024. Over the last year, that's an average of 1,271 spills a day. Then if we contrast that with Welsh Water in Wales, that is a not-for-profit. The water company recorded 105,943 spills in 2023, 93% of which were ranked significant. Scottish Water and Northern Irish Water both in
Well, you touched on the differences between England and Wales, Scotland and Northern Ireland. England is, of course, much more densely populated than Scotland, Wales and Northern Ireland. But I think there are a multitude of root causes. The infrastructure we have got in the UK was largely built by the Victorians. They were actually quite far-sighted, so they built sewers with double the capacity that they needed to have at the time. Obviously, the population has more than doubled since Victorian times, so now those networks that were built 150 years ago don't have sufficient capacity, and we're not adding to that capacity fast enough.
Credit to that very forward-thinking Victorian engineers. It's also not just water companies, but there's also industry issues when it comes to pollution.
That's right, water companies are quite a convenient target to blame for water pollution issues, but actually there are a number of other very significant sources of water pollution. There's a lot of runoff from highways, so roads, motorways that run into drains running alongside those roads and into watercourses. Quite often that's not treated at all, and that will contain things like oil, grease, brake dust runoff, little bits of tyre rubber, and agriculture is a very significant source of water pollution. You have slurry, fertilisers, pesticides all being washed off fields into watercourses.
This is a point that I reveal that everyone around me, except myself, participates in some sort of water activity, from kayaking to wild swimming to cold water dipping in the morning and pointing no fingers. I actually live very close to the Thames and I wouldn't put a toe in that river. But this is the point that we really try and understand. Do we have a right to swim? Do we have a right to clean rivers, lakes and seas?
Well, under English law, we don't. There have been some cases brought against water companies in the past claiming that people have a right not to be flooded by sewer overflows. There was a 2003 case in the House of Lords, which was the predecessor to the Supreme Court we have nowadays, arguing that sewage flooding of someone's property amounted to a nuisance and also a breach of the individual's human rights. The claims in that case sought an injunction against Thames Water, prohibiting them from using their sewage system in a way that caused flooding of his property. And the House of Lords said in that case that individuals do not have the right to sue water companies for nuisance or breach of their human rights. The only people who can are Ofwat and the Secretary of State for the Environment. And if they choose not to, there's absolutely nothing that individuals can do.
So if a rower or a swimmer or a cold water dipper gets very sick because of sewage that's been spilled, they cannot sue.
You could potentially consider a negligence claim against the water company. Those sorts of claims are very difficult to bring. You have to prove that the water company owes you a duty of care. You've got to prove they have breached that duty of care and that you have suffered a foreseeable loss as a result of that breach. So they're very problematic negligence claims.
It's not just rivers, seas and lakes that we should be thinking about. We've also heard about clean water coming from our taps and problems around it. What obligations do water companies have to provide clean drinking water from taps?
Water companies have got a statutory obligation to supply wholesome, clean drinking water to their customers that meets specified standards that are laid down in law.
Southwest Water is paying compensation to homes and businesses who have to boil their water because of the cryptosporidium outbreak. If you become ill, can you sue your water company?
Well, again, this is similar to if you become ill from swimming in dirty water. You would have to prove negligence against the water company that's supplying you, and that is very difficult to do.
Even when we're seeing how difficult it is to sue a water company, we're nevertheless seeing some very novel and interesting cases being taken against companies. What kind of legal battles are we seeing?
Well, there are a couple going on at the moment. There's an interesting case before the Competition Appeal Tribunal being brought against 6 water companies, and in that case it's being claimed that water companies who are the subject of the claims have been overcharging customers by misreporting, underreporting environmental breaches to Ofwat, and what they are allowed to charge customers by Ofwat is partly determined by their environmental performance. So the base of the claim is that by underreporting breaches, Ofwat is allowing water companies to charge customers more than they would otherwise be allowed to charge them.
A fantastically novel approach.
A great argument.
Looking at regulators, have there been any criminal prosecutions against companies?
There have been a lot. So regulators like the Environment Agency have a number of sanctions available to them for breaches of permits by water companies. The most extreme is a criminal prosecution. There have been some notable prosecutions in recent years. So Thames Water were prosecuted and